Hello YouTubers, this is StephenWorldwide with a walk and talk video about my master's degree and why I did my master's degree, all about my master's degree. So I'll talk about that on my walk to work today. I commute to work every day. It takes about 15 minutes, so I always think of ideas of things to share about my journey in teaching English overseas. And one of the subscribers was asking me about my master's degree experience, so I'll explain all about that and why I did it. I decided to get my master's degree a while ago, actually in 2013. The reason why is I knew I liked teaching English. I didn't know if I wanted to keep doing this as a career. Usually this teaching English overseas thing is not a career. People usually come to Korea or Japan or another Asian country, as far as people that I met, and they'll do it for a year, and you have a few different types of teachers. You have the person that comes over and hates it right away, and they freak out and leave after a month. They do a midnight run, which is what they call it. That is when they decide they hate it for whatever reason. The culture, the language, just being in a different country, or their boss is terrible to them, they have a terrible job, and they just decided this is a mistake, and they buy an airplane ticket with their credit card or cash or whatever, and they go home and don't tell anybody until the last minute. They send an email to the boss, sorry, I don't like this, I'm leaving, and they're gone. And then you have the other type that does their year contract. When the year is up, they think, well, that was kind of cool, I don't know if I want to keep doing that, but that's good enough, and then they go back to their country. After that, you have somebody that after they last 2 years, usually on the third year, 3 full years, they enjoyed the experience, but they kind of decided that it's not going to be their career. And then they go home. But anybody that lasts more than 3 years, they say that you're a lifer then. After 3 years, if you still want to stay, if you still want to keep teaching or just living in Asia, you really enjoy that more than your home country, and that's me. I really enjoy living here more than living in the States. Just every day feels like an adventure, even though I have the same routine going to work and everything. It just feels awesome. It's never boring, and if this was USA, I might not be walking to work like I am now in this little neighborhood. So I got my master's degree because I wanted to keep teaching, and I want to keep doing this and living this lifestyle. And you need a master's degree to get up in the industry, to get the better jobs, obviously. So I finished my CELTA. I applied to universities because I wanted to teach at university. And the reason I wanted to teach at university was I had already taught children for 3 years, and I wanted to teach older children, or 18, 19, 20-year-olds. And at the university, you make about the same amount of money as you would get working at elementary school. The big difference is in the summer and in the winter, you get big breaks, big vacation. And some schools you get 2 months off in the summer and 2 months off in the winter. And it's paid. So can you imagine working during the year, not crazy hours. I mean, you spend a lot of time grading papers, and the work is not exactly easy, but having 2 months off in the summer and 2 months off in the winter paid, that's a dream come true for anybody teaching at Hagwon who gets 10 days during the year to use on vacation, 10 days that your boss gives you a guilt trip about using, but it's in the contract. So I wanted to, try something new, and you need a master's degree to even get interviewed nowadays. Back in 2010, when I came to Korea for the first time, they would hire university teachers with some experience. It didn't matter. Like you could go from kindergarten to university. You could teach little kids, and I knew somebody who did that. He got hired a year before I interviewed at the school. And then when I went to interview at the school, the university, I didn't get the job because I didn't have a master's degree. It's as simple as that. I think What changed was the government was looking for all their teachers to have master's degrees, or else they would cut funding, or they would give more funding if everybody had master's degrees. There was something like that, I was told. And other schools just wanted the prestige of it. So all the teachers that did not have master's degrees that worked at university, they were kind of grandfathered in, but the schools asked them to get their master's, so they started online master's degree programs, distance programs, while they were working at the university. Because I met a lot of people that did not have master's degrees that worked at universities, but they had been there for a while already. So when I realized I need to compete, I need to get my master's, that's when I decided to go shopping for a good master's degree program. And this is what I investigated. Hang on a second, it's very busy right here. Morning rush hour. It's about 8:15, 8:20 in the morning. There's our Camaro buddy. Everybody's going to work and he's going back. Maybe he's got a night job or something, where he's going back towards the homes at 8:15 in the morning. Yeah, why did I choose the school I chose? So going to a brick and mortar school is very expensive. And it's much cheaper in Korea. So I actually applied to the best university in the country, Seoul National University. I made my application and I wrote, in my opinion, I wrote an awesome essay. They asked to write about an influential person in your life or something like that. And I wrote about this guy that I knew for a long time. I met this guy when I was 5 years old. And he had somewhat of an impact on my life. And he passed away a few years, maybe a year before I wrote that essay. So I was moved emotionally by it. And in my opinion, I wrote a great essay. But apparently that wasn't enough to get into Seoul National University. My grades were not good at my university that I graduated from. By the way, I graduated from almost 20 years ago. Not even, like 15 years ago at the time. 1999 I graduated, so my grades weren't great there. But I thought, I'm an adult, I'm an educator. I just thought kind of, I would be good enough to get into the international program. But I wasn't. So some people told me that they'll hire somebody from China with a 4.0 grade point average before they hire you, buddy. So whatever. I gave it a shot. And I paid $100 for the application. So I thought to myself, screw that. No more. I'm not going to spend any money like that anymore. I'm going to get into a school that I don't need the GRE. They'll accept me. So I started looking for online master's degree programs. And I whittled it down to about 3 or 4 that fit all the criteria I was looking for. What I wanted was cheap, affordable. I wanted online so that I can work at the same time and make money. As cool as it would be to be a college student with my books in my hand, walking across the quad and going to classes, sitting in class, watching a teacher, listening to a teacher lecture, don't really learn well that way. So I thought I would do online distance learning, which I had done a little bit with my TESOL certificate. I like that, learning at my own pace. If I can sit in front of the computer and watch videos and learn at 2 a.m., that's my prerogative, and I actually like that. So I found 3 schools that I wanted to consider. The price was right, they were online, and what else? I did my due diligence. I searched as much as possible about all the information, and I looked online to see if you could get a job with the degree. And the complaints I saw from the university were not really anything that severe. Some of the complaints were that the school grades with a point system, and so they didn't like the system of how the school graded. Some people called it like a bullshit degree. And then the comments that I did care about were the people that said, I got a job with this degree teaching English at university in Korea. I said, that's good enough. I had a buddy teaching in the Middle East, and he told me that the Middle East, a lot of the countries don't take online degrees. Yeah, a lot of countries don't recognize online degrees in teaching English around the world and in the Middle East. And I thought to myself, you know what? I just won't work there. That's it. There's plenty of countries and universities and places I can work, and that's just where I'm going to work. If they say no to my degree, then that's just the way it is. So that was another factor going into it. Will the school accept your online degree? And what the choice I ended up making was with ACE, American College of Education. It checked every box on my list of what I was looking for. And the cool thing about it was there are some of these courses, one of the more popular ones is called Framingham University. And that's a school out of somewhere in USA, maybe Massachusetts. But they have a program where you have to go to Seoul for a couple weeks of classes. And the one I went with, ACE, didn't have that. You can do everything for the master's degree in your apartment. So I went with that. The program is 18 months. It's not 2 years, it's shorter. It's 18 months. And I did that while I was teaching the after-school job, private teaching. Then I got the new situation I already talked a lot about, where I was working at 2 or 3 different hakwons part-time. With one of them I had the contract with, and then I was doing filling all my free time with private teaching, and even some on the weekends. And then late at night, between 10 and 1 a.m., I was getting the work done for a master's degree. And maybe not everybody can get it done like that, but I write really well. It's easy for me to sit down and just crank out a 3 or 5 page paper with a little bit of information. I would write these papers for my assignments, and I wasn't even sure if I was hitting the mark. I wasn't sure if I was delivering exactly what the teacher was looking for. And if I missed something, I would get out of 100, the teacher would still give me like a 96 or a 97. Most of them were 99% or 100. I forgot to dot an I or cross a T. So I busted my butt. I got it done. I got a 4.0, and I graduated in October last year, 2017. And I got that piece of paper. My master's degree was in teaching English as a second language, ESL, and bilingual education. So I asked the school if they had a major of study that fit what I was doing. I'm teaching in Asia. And they didn't really have something specifically tailored for that. What I did was, they advised me this was the closest thing. And it was actually helpful because it was a big, big study of culture. And it prepares you for teaching English to students, actually teaching all subject areas to students that are of diverse students, ethnically diverse and culturally diverse. They come from all different backgrounds and families and speak different languages in the same classroom, which is something you would see in Canada or in USA. So I feel like my degree would be valid if I wanted to teach back home where I'm from in USA. But in my classes, it's not diverse at all, actually. Everybody's 100% either Korean or Japanese. But I learned a lot. I'm glad I did it. How much did it cost? It was billed as $7,900, but I ended up probably spending about $8,500, about $8,500. And for a master's degree, that's cheap. I had a buddy who had a master's degree in art, and he spent 100 grand. And he was teaching English in Korea at the same job, similar job as what I had. And he told me he's still paying back loans from that. He's a great artist, but that's a lot of money to spend on a degree. So 10 grand, some online programs were 10 grand and 15 grand. And this was 8 grand. It was one of the cheapest ones. American College of Education. It's based out of Indianapolis, Indiana. And it checked a lot of the boxes that other schools look for too. Here's another thing. If I got my master's in Korea, maybe some schools would look down on that. They want a native English teacher to have a degree from a English-speaking country, a university in a country like that. I also applied to a school in South Africa. That one was called UNISA, University of South Africa, and they never got back to me. And when I was looking at reviews for that university, people complained that the university is so big and so cheap that the quality is terrible and nobody gets back to you. And I experienced that. So ACE was great. Everybody got back to me in ACE. They gave me good advice. They guided me through the process. I'm really happy I went with them. One of my buddies, the guy that I talked to, the guy that I told you was living in the Middle East, he wanted to do it too. He thought it was a good idea. And we did it together. He was about 5 or 6 months behind me. But he's glad he did it. He's not even sure if he really needs it, but now he has it for the future. So good for him. And good for me. I'm proud I have it. I learned a lot going through the master's degree program. I got a job now at university, so having that master's degree basically checked the box for the hiring managers. In Korea, the jobs are so competitive because the government got rid of a lot of public school teaching. Those teachers, instead of going home, some of them did, they stayed and they went to university. And because of that competition, universities made it harder to get into, and they want a master's degree. And I was getting passed over for other teachers that had master's degrees in stuff like economics or art, and had nothing to do with teaching or education or English. And I thought, man, that's a bum. That's a bad deal. I gotta get into the game. So I made sure that my master's degree was education related, and it was ESL and bilingual education. And now I have opportunities to get in the door for interviews. So that is my master's degree story. That's why I did it. I want to keep doing this for another 15, 20 years. So I might as well start a doctorate program, because I thought about doing it again. It was so enjoyable and not that difficult, actually. You just build your schedule around getting the work done. But doing 2 master's degrees, I don't really need to do that. I might as well just start the work on a doctorate. So that's my plan, and I'll start looking into that in the next year or so. All right, that's it for now. Have a great day wherever you are, whatever you're doing. And if you like my video, subscribe to my channel, leave me a comment, tell me what you want me to talk about, and I'll be happy to do that for you. All right, see you in the next video.